territory of Kwakwaka'wakw. Before we adopt the agenda, I'd like to add 91A to in camera. And that is a part of council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to or is in one of or more of the following: personal information about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as officer, employee, or agent of the municipality or another position appointed by the municipality. Any other additions or amendments to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, then can I have a motion, please, to adopt the agenda as amended? Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, moving on to item 4A, minutes of the November 26, 2021 Committee of the Whole. Are there any amendments? And if there are none, can I have a motion, please, to adopt? Moved, seconded. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item 4B, minutes of the December 7th, 2021 special council meeting. Any amendments? And if none, motion to adopt? Moved, seconder for that motion? Seconded. Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item 5A, have correspondence, a Legion letter of support. So
Like the motion that we submit a letter supporting their application.
okay. Seconder, any questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item 5B, this is St. John Gobert, also known as the A-Frame Church, COVID-19 grant and aid financial report.
Move, receive, and file.
Okay. Seconder?
Second.
Any questions? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, table items. We have item 6A, Association of Vancouver Island Coastal Communities. This was tabled and asked to be put on this particular agenda. So the first one in this package is for resolutions. It is not due until January 28th, Friday, January 28th. But has council contemplated any resolutions that they would like to submit? Go ahead, Councillor Downey.
I don't have a resolution crafted, but I feel we should have a resolution supporting our forest sector as to how the current deferral process is potentially impacting us. We're kind of in a wait and see to see whatever that resolution is might look different today as compared to in January. So I don't know that we can craft it today, but I think that should be on our radar to bring something forward.
Okay, and that would be then no later than, sorry, let me just look at the dates. We have a meeting on January 25th, so that would be in time. So no later than. Okay. And also the second part here is nominations for the AVICC executive. So just if anybody is thinking about it, I'd be happy to sign nomination papers, and it'd be great if we had somebody on the AVICC as well as UBCM.
Yeah. How does that work with next year's election? Come, the position dissolves in October or something?
No, it's very interesting. It's happened before, so it continues on. Sorry, this nomination process continues on, but if the person isn't elected, then they have vacant positions in which they have to scramble to fill. It's happened in the past at UBCM, I think, with the president's positions. Okay, all right. Well, that will be continued to be tabled. Item 7A, Public Works Active Transportation Plan Report, or Active Transport Report. This was something that was requested by council. Go ahead, Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Your Worship. Is it possible to get second page of the detailed drawing up on the screen?
Oh, no, they don't have it.
Okay, I'll swing it. So I'm looking at this third page. backlighting report. So the first one's got Portland Hill, the next one's a bit of a close up. Then we got the one that is got a bit of color to it. May I address public
Says
work?
35 of 82 on the bottom there, is that one?
Mine does not say that.
Very
This
corner,
one.
here, right here. Say 35 of 82. Right on the top corner there.
Ah, does, yeah.
Okay, all right, so we have one, go ahead.
May I address public works? Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Julian, I'm just wondering, looking at the map here, there's the bus pull, it's pretty obvious in the dark brown. But what would be to the left of it there? Is that like grass or pavement or?
Yeah, so if you, listen to.
Hang on a second, Julian. Would you mind coming a little bit closer here so that Councillor Mitchell will be able to hear you?
If you look at the written part of the report there, Councillor Paul, you see I make mention that it actually is not quite finalised what that specifically is going to look like. What's proposed is actually a boulevard. So it's actually going to be a more of a swale. It's not going to be paved right up to the offset sidewalk. That is probably most cost effective. And then you have lawn basins that are actually located, in the catchment area in the middle. They'll actually feed the storm sewer that's going to be underneath the sidewalk.
So an asphalt swale, sort of.
No, there'll be an asphalt curb, like where the actual sanitary sewer is going to be replaced, because we're going to lose a little bit of the road. Add the asphalt to the existing road size, and then it could be grass boulevard in there with planters. And there'll be a natural drainage catchment area. The other more expensive option is obviously to pave the whole lot, which would lend itself to, if we get, depending on the numbers, like it could be an option presented to council to actually extend the asphalt, not the whole way to the sidewalk, but actually make sort of a shoulder, if you will, a paved shoulder alongside the road. That would act as a bike lane.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Next,
Yeah.
next to the bus stop.
Yeah.
Like looking across towards the old Super Value. So that hatch line is the edge. Name it, like, will it be?
Where exactly, sorry?
I mean,
You're on the
like, is this city line? Yeah. So what's that? What's the building?
this one?
Yeah, this distance between the two with that.
That's the edge of road, yeah.
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 So will there be a painted line, that's a little bit of
There can
something
be,
between there and the curve, I guess?
but the issue will be continuing that line on through
Yeah.
this area.
Is this what he's talking about?
That's basically signifying, so in the written report.
Further down.
Hang on a second, hang on, because there's a bit of chatter and so can you show us what you're pointing on to? Yeah, no, that's the,
I'm just asking what this, that's the center line right there. So what is between here and the bus stop? And it sounds like asphalt. I guess what I'm getting at is gonna be a white lane there and maybe a small kind of like.
Yeah, it'll be reinstating of the actual road as it is.
Get on this one. Actually, this is page 5. Yeah. Around. So there's the IGA and this is the existing bus stop, but they're gonna make a nice little pull through, right? But I'm asking about this here. Is this gonna be grass like between here and where the bus stop is?
Where do you pull into IGA?
Right here.
Okay, okay.
And then the next page shows how it keeps going. We
So
are.
we're over here, on this, okay, sorry. There's no sidewalk in there.
okay, and so your question against the councillor or if you can clarify or
Well, is it-
continue on, yeah.
I guess is it designed to have a shoulder there for cycling?
Not at the moment. So what this represents is basically, in the sort of status part of the report, like I put that, preceding this, we have to actually, do the sanitary sewer repair.
Yeah.
obviously, we want to do the in-ground work before we actually put in the sidewalk or whatever. To do that, sanitary sewer repair, we have to actually lose part of the roads. We're anticipating we're going to lose a section of asphalt. So that is actually the reinstatement of the asphalt, like the roadway. And basically from that, you'll have the pullout for the bus. There'll be an extension of paving. To the left on the actual diagram here on the drawing, that as it sits right now is proposed to be a grassy boulevard with obviously the drainage in it and
So keeping some of the existing grass that's already there.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because the sidewalk is so far away from the road.
Yep.
So there is an alternative that was sort of cost prohibitive, it wouldn't fit in the budget, but that was to actually pave the entire thing right up to the offset sidewalk, which is quite close to the actual IGA parking lot. So this was the proposed, at this point in time, was to have a small sort of boulevard area there, which would be, a grassed-in area, catch all the water properly, and move it into the stores sort of that way. If I can actually explore the option of a sort of a 2 meter or 1.5 meter extension of the road paving to facilitate a hard surface walking, biking area.
One concern I do have there is the one thing that we hear, what we have heard from residents is there is so much pavement down there. And I don't know, I'm kind of like to keep some of the grass and to break it up. Otherwise, it just makes that parking lot look that much bigger, right?
And that's an extremely good point. As far as public works is concerned, and the hard surfacing is an extremely tough thing to, deal with, as far as drainage goes.
Mhm.
So this was actually a proposal, from us that it would be a natural sort of boulevard, but it'd be very effective in absorbing all that moisture in that area, which is quite a lot of runoff. It's not by any means not doable, but it's very doable to put like an asphalt extension to the road there. Do kind of away with that. The way we want to move.
So does anybody else have a question before I go back to Councillor Cole, Councillor Downey?
Listening to the discussion, I'm looking at my map, so I just back right up. So when I look on the map, here's the entrance IGA parking lot. We're putting into the roadway our storm sewer, sanitary sewer. We're coming in, we're carving off and paving the bus stop area. Where's the sidewalk? Is it up here?
Yes,
So then we end up with a sidewalk adjacent to general properties property, which leaves then a buffer between the sidewalk and
and the
the
road,
existing road
Absolutely.
as it is today.
exactly, yeah. You have that right.
Are the questions? Otherwise, I'll go back to Councillor Cole. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Cole.
Yeah, I'm all for the green space like that. I'm just thinking like right now, smallest lane possible and it's dirt, so if we have the opportunity to just do 1.5 meters wider, I'll leave it at that, but I had one more question then. 2. So proposed bike repair stand and bicycle charging station. Does that mean that's part of this design budget?
Yes.
That's, you're talking to the bike guy, and I'm just questioning how much that, I'd rather have a wide shoulder than that, and more details on that, or how much it costs. I think council should know that. Totally sounds cool, but the e-bike charging stations worries me a bit. It sounds expensive.
Well, I have an e-bike and I don't pack my charger with me. It's heavy and it's not something I pack with me. So that's interesting. That goes there.
Again, that was a proposal from McElhaney for that specific feature.
Well, likely coming out of active transportation plans across the province, right?
Yeah,
If I may, at the Comox Airport, they have a standalone gadgetry, basically, that you can pop your bike up. It's got wrenches, it's got all kinds of Have you seen it, Jared? It's like.
That's
one-
what
That is, that is what that is.
So that is-
down here. Yep,
So, but this has the e-charging attached. to it.
as well as, yeah.
But we're also putting lighting across there, so it's not like we're running specifically for bike charging. Correct? Is that fair to say?
It'll be fed off that feed that comes from Campbell Way to support that light standard at the end of the Hemlock. there, yeah.
Underground? Where?
At the moment, that's being explored. At the moment, it's overhead. Across that way.
Oh, I don't like that. If we're going all this trouble, I'd rather not have it. It's more power line thing in our town. Is it possible to get more details on the
Yeah.
cost? Can I make a motion? for
Yeah,
more
sure,
details on
please do,
the,
yeah.
I'll second
the
it.
proposed bike and charging station?
But, okay,
Thank you, Mayor Richard. I was going to suggest perhaps our Public Works liaison could go and meet individually outside of a council meeting with the Public Works head to detail some of these requests.
yeah, except that we want consensus from council.
Okay.
Well, except there's some merit in that if then the Public Works liaison is going to go meet with Public Works and then the report is generated out of that conversation. Because hopefully it would be at least 50% information that the rest of us want to know. Does that make sense?
Get ahead of my 27 questions.
Kind
End of it, yeah.
Kind of.
So one question I have is, is there a section for a dedicated bike lane?
White Lane.
That's a
I
Derek's
know,
time.
but
No.
That's what I'm saying is it in this plan?
No.
No.
No, that would be taking away from that grassy boulevard that we discussed earlier. That would be actually extending the road shoulder, 1.5 meters all the way to, from the bus pull out to, Campbell Way.
So I've got a question. So you're saying that the storm sewer and that is separate from this? And so that would be the first part of the project. And so what Councillor Barron is suggesting would be easy enough to liaise for the second part without hindering the project with the storm.
The
Sanitary,
clarification, yeah.
right?
Yep, no, 100%. That was tabled
Okay.
well before this, and council fully agreed at that time.
Yeah.
That was like necessary.
Absolutely.
High on the priority list. That is coming first. We could tender these actually jointly. That's something that we're working on right now, whether it makes sense or whether it be more cost effective. But for sure, this one will not impact the other.
I'm just thinking in terms of if you're gonna make a motion to, have them liaise, I just don't want to see a project get hung up on something. That's what I'm talking
We will
about. yeah.
go ahead regardless, so long as council's still in agreement
Yeah.
with the 22 budget, with that sanitary sewer system upgrade being done. We'll go ahead with that regardless of this.
Do you want to make a motion?
Yeah.
A suggestion? Okay, go ahead.
I make a motion that the Public Works liaison liaise with the Public Works manager or his designate to basically flush this out, review and flush it out for
Work back.
the rest of council.
So if I may.
Hang on, seconder for that motion? Okay. Go ahead.
If I may, a more detailed report is what council I think is looking for.
A bit, I guess, so we can figure out whether we can maybe part out one thing and trade off another or something like that, I think is what I'm hearing. Councillor Cole?
So this
No.
is an approved grant already?
This has been approved. yes.
Right, so if all of a sudden we took out the bike charging station, that fundamentally changes the application, right? So maybe we don't have leeway there. But I
That's
think,
something we'll have to look into. yeah.
sure, like, but we're putting in a bike thing, but it's on the sidewalk, there's grass in front of it, and there's no bike lane in front of it. So that's a suggestion. I just had one more question. Are the creosote holes on our property that surround that area, like behind the bus stop, there's logs soaked in creosote. Are those ours or the neighboring properties?
So I'll have to get back to you. on that.
Because if they're ours, I've seen recently, the cop, those, they smell, and they're probably not good for the environment. So, yeah,
I can
we
certainly
can talk about that.
Councillor Down, you had a question before I call the question?
I just want to express my concern that I believe we do need a bike lane. Right now, there is quite, whether you call it pavement, there's pavement and there's a large gravelly area, but there is width there for cars and cyclists and pedestrians. And so I would hate to lose that access for cyclists. I don't, the space is there, whether it's blacktop or gravel or, we shouldn't be reducing that access.
And I guess my thought with it is on Haddington, that got done and it looks great. Except if I'd had the opportunity to put my 2 bits on, I might have gone and found the money in the budget to pull up the other side of the road and have the whole road as one piece of paper. And I guess that's kind of how I'm feeling with this is, I don't know what's in there. Just to look at it from a different kind of set of eyes. And it might be that it goes ahead exactly like that. But we could just take an hour to go through it. Yeah.
So you're referring to repave the whole street instead of just have the 2 feet of new pavement, and then it's
That's, yeah, that's kind of what we did, right? So
Yeah.
if we'd have known, maybe we would have found the money there. Like right now, I'm like, if you want to ride your bike, go ride your bike on the dirt or ride on the sidewalk. But you might be able to convince me, if it's an extra this much and we get this really nice looking, well, then you might convince me to actually put a bike lane in.
Or we might be shocked and say, no way. Go ahead, Councillor Mitchell.
I find this fascinating conversation. And I think that 2 things I'm curious about. Number one would be, what are we going to do with all the water that's going to accumulate there? And maybe we need to think about not putting it into storm drains, but making a different type of surface. And then the other thing is, how friendly is this going to be? And in terms of people who have mobility issues, is there going to be curbs and things that are difficult to get over and, and access without heading down to one end of it or the other to get on and off it? What's the situation there? Is it going to be nice and smooth, or what's going on?
Very good question, because it's going to link into that other project, right? Which was for accessibility for seniors.
We all kind of took our individual questions about it and got them to Derek, and then Derek meets with Julian, and then hopefully that would cover off kind of our highlights. Derek's gonna have obviously a lot more.
I think you've got to answer that question, don't you? Or not?
Yeah, it's all MMCD, which is this whole construction document, which governs what we do, basically the standards for sidewalks. So there will be letdowns in all the appropriate places. For example, there's a driveway, the IGA parking lot driveway, so there'll be letdowns there to connect to the next piece of sidewalk, which is still part of this project, which will take us all the way to McNeil Road. And then there, it's yet to be determined where the new sidewalk is going to connect into the seniors pathway from the seniors complex. That is all to be ADA compliant, which is American Disability Association. So it's one of the specifications for mobility, like scooters, wheelchairs, all of that. That's incorporated in this plan also.
Okay, does that answer your question, Councillor Mitchell?
Yeah, I'll have a look at the drawings when I get an opportunity and have a better idea, but thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so there was Councillor Barron's motion. Can you please repeat that motion for us?
So I had that the Public Works liaison the active transport projects and report back to council.
With the Public Works or designate, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I will.
Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Okay, item 6B, Public Works Operations Report. Thank you very much, Julian, for that. Public Works Manager's here. He can answer any questions, otherwise receive his help.
Can I just ask? A bit honest. A little bit. But can we work on, by the way, Rebecca, yours is next. I love it. Can we work on a different
Highlights.
kind of format for going forward. I mean, some, maybe not so much yours, Julian, definitely like the harbor, like some of it just seems to be so minutiae, but then it seems like it would be really nice to know all the projects that you have on the go and where they're at.
My understanding is that staff is working on a new, at least for the harbor, and that working on a new method of reporting. Is that correct? Yes. Can we get you on the bus too, Jim?
I also just think it'd be really important to see all those projects that you have going.
Yeah.
And that establish the criteria for like maybe it's engineered, tendered, percentages complete. And
Okay.
for my opinion, that's what I would really like to see, because I'd like to see all the stuff that's going on, and then you would have a section for, you know, upcoming or, and not so much maybe the.
I think what Councillor Barron's trying to say is we all acknowledge that you guys do a lot of work and it's not even half captured here, but we don't need to necessarily know all of these little things. Which I shouldn't say little things. Okay, go, Councillor Downey, no, okay. I captured that one, go ahead.
For myself, I read here, minor old school maintenance. You know, that, to me, that's just regular public works job.
Mhm.
Drainage maintenance at the airport is lighting maintenance, the harbor shower building, and none of that is relevant. You know, and then it says here municipal dock repairs for insurance purposes in progress. You know, something, you could have ditched all of that and just given me, you know, a couple of sentences on the project. Started this date, we're 40% completion. We've come across this. Our expected completion date is here. We've had overruns under, you know, we're on target, something more detailed. The rest of this is just daily ops. It's just like it's regular operating. It's not pertinent. Whereas like nobody in the public will come and ask me, Shelley, did the drainage maintenance get done at the airport? Shelley, has any minor maintenance been done at the old school? Nobody will ask me that
The
question.
potholes, they-
They will ask me, obviously will, I didn't mention that one. They will ask me about the status of the harbor project and other
Yeah.
things. So just sort of, does that make sense then?
Absolutely, no.
Yeah,
I think through the lens of what
It's
the
a
public would
report
ask, yeah.
Through, you know, through Pete to you, through CAO to you, from me, and that's like, I need the feedback.
Yeah.
This is something that I inherited,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm really straight from it, because I thought the council was okay with bullet form, just whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to pare it down and say, okay, all of the regular routine stuff, which is, just to be clear, like there might be 2 bullets in here that take 50% of the public works crew time.
Yeah.
In a month. Like that's, you know, so it's,
And I
it's,
think that would
if
be
it's the
seasonal,
regular
right?
things that you want gone, and it's just the project reporting, I'm all for that, or if there's anything out of the norm. If that's sort of what council's looking for, like I can adjust this to whatever you want to see. More than.
Councillor Cole?
I personally like the details, but for further clarification, like if you're doing drainage maintenance at the airport every month, then it's not on there, but if you're doing it once in a while, then I think it should be on there. So to me, it's more regular stuff. Doesn't need to be on here, but if it's something out of the ordinary that we can. Or that you can clean the dishes, but if you do that every month, then you do it all.
Okay, yeah, for point taken, the airport is something that was major part, that was like 3 days.
Mhm.
You know, 2 pieces of equipment, 2 people, 3 people, you know, a big chunk of time.
Mhm.
And just to make council aware that, you know, I mean, there are questions asked about airports, campgrounds, all these other facilities that we have. It's just to really give you a little bit of information that if, I won't tell you like how many hours we've spent doing it and what kind of time and what kind of cost. But it's just an opportunity for council to raise an eyebrow and say, oh, the airport, I can't stand it. Why do we have it? How much would that cost us? I'm just being blunt, like that's the reason, and that's the way I inherited this, and that's what I thought the meaning of this was, so that you can actually say, hey, hang on a minute, about the airport. And then if you wanted more information, I could give more information. But I absolutely get the point that Councilor Down is making. Weed out the regular stuff.
Find a balance between
You bet.
Councillor Cole.
Yeah, I think the regular stuff,
Yeah.
but yeah, what interests other people, we're all on the same page, so.
Okay, thank you very much. Stephen Bob? Seconded. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you very much. Item 7D is washroom complaints. No, wait, I skipped ahead. It's November 2021. D, Harbor staff report. We do have Rebecca with us. Questions for her? Otherwise, a motion to receive and file.
Question?
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Cole.
Rebecca, just regarding we're getting quotes for the security cameras, but we're not moving ahead with that project yet. For the budget.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
The questions? Motion received. Seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Now we're on to item D, washroom complaints. So we've got this report. There've been a few letters that have come in. Phone calls, I think, as well. I got pulled aside by somebody just yesterday, coincidentally. So we've got the implications, some options for us. One of the things I was considering is that I think one simple solution could be to actually let people know that there are washrooms at the harbor. Because a lot of people, not a lot of people, the people that I've talked to don't recognize that. And so, I mean, that won't help on the weekends, but it certainly will help between, what's it, 9 to 5? Is that when it's open? Yeah, on weekdays, with the exception of an illness or somebody, you know, being away or short-staffed. I think that could help restaurateurs who are being asked about washrooms. Go ahead, Councillor Cole.
Thank you very much. Can I ask Rebecca, do we have what do we have for outdoor signage saying public washrooms?
We do have some signs on the exterior of the visitor center bathroom, or like the visitor center building. Be sure how big they are, we could get newer signs made up, so that's more obvious, and even put one at the road as well. Yeah.
There's that much board that you can take down.
Yeah.
About every day.
Right, because I noticed in your report, 3 people using it a day, that would sort of apply. We won't have a lot of demand for it, but for washer, not necessarily,
Just a second, Councillor Richard.
not necessarily doing the business. Don't, if they can't come to the town office and use the washer.
Councillor Mitchell?
I think that in order to encourage visitors to spend time in our community outside of the office hours of our harbor office or the town office, we need to think a little bit more globally on the washroom deal. People's needs don't end because it's 5 o'clock. And so perhaps we need to try and broaden our scope a little bit and have washrooms available for a longer time frame and 7 days a week, not just, you know, when we're open. So maybe that needs to be considered. I know there's all kinds of logistical issues to be considered, but at the same time, if we want to have tourism and we want to have visitors, we need to meet all of their needs. And certainly having washrooms available, having a sign up that says washrooms this way, and bringing someone to a locked door because it's 5:15 is not very practical. So putting signs up would be kind of pointless. But we do own a number of public buildings that could have washrooms, the museum building, the harbor office, the new facility that we're going to put up at the other end of the parking lot. And, you know, those are all places where we could consider having more hours open time than just the open time of the business that we run out of that harbor office.
The other thing is we are going to be replacing the current shower facilities. I suppose we could do a trial there and see what happens. Yep, go ahead.
Did we not, when we were talking about the shower facilities, did we not go back to staff and ask for washers to be added, have them separate?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we made a motion or not, but did we make a
We-
motion?
Yes, we did.
I was asking staff, but thank you.
Yeah, because we're stuck with the small craft harbors building, contract being switched to us, which is mainly stuck on the hazard assessment at this point. I just haven't moved forward with that, but I've looked into options where we, instead of having 3 shower units, we have one that's like a wheelchair accessible washroom that we could potentially leave open.
So that's still forthcoming.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, then I could think, oh, sorry, go ahead, Councillor Cole.
Can I make a motion? We go with option 2, just bring in a rental porta potty for the off season. Let's do something there.
Seconder for that motion.
I'll second it so we can talk about it.
Good. Comment?
The people that you spoke with, how's the porta potty fit in that? Party?
It's who cleans the porta potties.
Oh, the contractor, Solaris.
What about in the, there was some issues in the summertime with somebody dirtying the porta potty. Was that on Boris or did that end up being on staff?
By the time that we came in, Boris was already on it.
Oh, okay.
He beat us to it. But we have, every time we get a report of that, our staff do go and check
Okay.
the porta potty.
Thank you.
If I may, we have 1 porta potty already, boat launch, or is that?
That
This
was
season?
removed at the beginning of October.
So
It was just in seasonally.
Sure. So if we were going to put an off-season porta potty, would you think that's a good location or somewhere like by the steam dump or something? Do you have any input on that?
That would be up to the council on where they think the best location would be.
Go ahead.
I'm wondering if we maybe did more publicity and some signage to let people know that there are public washrooms available Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, whatever the hours are, just to make people aware that that is an option to start there. Because it sounds like to me from one of the letters I read is it's somebody with their children, they're looking for some place to take them to use the washroom. And before you used to be able to go and get a coffee, run your kids through the washroom at the coffee shop, go out and play, but you know, a lot of washrooms got closed up due to COVID. But if we're not informing people that there is an option there, that should be our first approach.
So just speaking to the motion, I do like that idea to see what happens first and then just like the look of the porta potties, but yeah, that I probably would at this point vote against the motion just to see how it works out by doing a little bit of advertising. Any other comments before I go back to Councillor Cole? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Cole.
Yeah, just to speak to if it's, we have that porta potty, when I say option 2, I mean the porta potty, the same spot it was in all summer, which I saw all summer. And we're fundamentally not addressing the fact that we got no washrooms at all, and that porta potties could look pretty good at 5:30. You know, like if you gotta go, you gotta go. So we've had one there year round, we've got public complaints about it. And for us to just put a sign up would help. I hope somebody makes another motion after mine to that effect, but it's just not, we're so far away from a solid option that.
I'll call the question then. All those in favor of installing a porta potty? Option two, have option two, yeah,
Basically just putting it back
where it was, yeah. All those in favor? Opposed? That's defeated.
I don't know what it was.
Well, it goes back to the porta potty up by the trail. Like I didn't walk the porta potty by the trail, but the porta potty by the trail seemed to have been a big hit. And it was looked after from what we heard from staff. And I mean, I get it. We're trying to encourage people to go down to the waterfront. So if we go and do this, how do we measure whether or not it's good?
I think it's Boris's job to measure. I'm sorry.
And I get that. And I get that. I mean, what Ryan's saying about the tourists, we're not doing this for the tourists. We're doing this for the locals.
Yeah, it's the locals who
Who are here. And I mean, like, could we go to the high school and say, hey, can you build us a little fence to go around it so that it's kind of visually blocked? But how do we know that it's making a difference? Not Rebecca, if we put a sandwich board out front, the hours that the bathroom's open, you'll be able to say, hey, we went from 3 to 18. And we'll go, okay, that was a good thing. But then how do we know if this porta potty is actually measurable?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Just from my experience at the harbor, one of the factors outside the parents and their children is we do have quite a robust fishing season in the winter season. So urchins, crabbing, and a lot of those commercial fishermen basically use the well holes at the harbor. So, you know, establishing something that's open 24/7 could alleviate some of that waste that's naturally going into the.
So I'm going to back up because I think I'm actually 99.9% sure that I was incorrect because Ryan did not raise his hand, which means affirmative. So I'm going to just double check the vote again. All those in favor of a porta potty? Opposed? Okay, it's carried. There you go.
I wondered about that. Good.
Okay, item E, fire operations report.
Do we need to make a motion to change the signage at the harbor? Is that something that needs to be motioned? Or will staff act on that from our discussion?
We will act on it based on the discussion, but it's good for the records to our motion.
So motion then
I
to,
would like to motion that we advertise the available washrooms at the harbor during business hours.
okay, second her for that. Okay,
Can I friendly amendment? I would like to see what Boris's measurements are for the next. Well, I'm sorry, I don't know how else to say it. I'd like to see what the measurements are between now and April. Because if Rebecca comes back with increased signage and says, hey, yeah, we've seen a 400% increase and Boris doesn't pump out once in 4 months, then I get rid of the porta potty. It's not reasonable.
I don't think it is. They're filled with a bunch of liquid. And
You know what I'm
it
saying.
doesn't rise that much, and I don't think Boris has
okay.
a meter on it. I think there's been occasions where I've been to the porta potty in, say, Port Hardy, that's downtown, and you can tell it's used. So I think if you're concerned, you should just visit the porta potty.
Okay,
Never mind.
never mind. Okay, so call the question on putting signage out. All those in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed, carried. Okay, moving quickly on E, fire operations report. Pleasure with us. Stephen File.
My same two bits is I would actually like to see cumulative because Chief Tate said that their call the other morning was call number 99. And they averaged 55 to 60 calls a year and they were at call number 99 for the next 3 weeks ahead of them. So again, maybe just another column. Because that gives us a bit more usable information.
Would you like to make that motion then to add a column for year to date?
Thank you.
Seconder for that motion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Receive and file?
Yep.
Okay. Seconder, All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Next we've got F, RTC. Green burial plots. What's your pleasure with this one, Council?
I move to receive and file.
One second.
Okay. Right, any discussion? Councillor Cole?
Can I ask for this email from a local resident?
I can see it. It's like-
My apologies, that should have been placed under correspondence. The report was just to go along with the letter from the resident.
All those in favor, receive smile. Second, or sorry. Opposed, carried. Next we're on to item G, 2021 check listing. Received.
Receive and file.
Okay. Seconder. Questions? All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Okay, bylaw 8A, Tourism Advisory Committee Commission bylaw 706/2021. The bylaw has had the changes that council has requested. And third reading, just third, yeah, we'd be looking for third reading here.
Last question.
Yes, go ahead, Councillor Bull.
So looking at second page, 2 under membership, which, see the non-voting thing is in there. But, AI, at least 6 voting representatives from the community at large. So I guess my question to staff is that meant to be with outside the town boundaries or? Correct. Is that council's intention? We're all good with that?
I think so.
I know. Just wanted to clarify that because in the past we've had discussions on tourism. File whether somebody lived outside the boundary, whether they were in the committee, but I think that's clear. I want to clarify that. Thank you.
Go ahead. Councillor Downey.
Yes. Comment. Because this is going to be a commission, it's going to be outside of council's purview. It will operate at arm's length. Which means conceivably this commission could be stacked with people completely outside of Port McNeil's boundaries. That wasn't, previously we had a committee and members were brought before council for approval or for a final say or support. This could be problematic.
It's my understanding though, commission members still come before council for approval, correct?
Yes, so item 3A, voting members of the commission shall be appointed by council resolution.
So I guess that begs the question, would you want to have 6 voting members with at least 3 from the community? Did you want to, or are you fine with it then if it comes to council?
It probably should be specified in there, to be honest. Should be at least a minimum. Set the floor.
How does this work with the reading thing again? If we were to ask for that change to be made,
Then we can give third reading with the change. Yeah. Did you have a question, Councillor Cole? Sorry, I thought I saw your hand up. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we'll be able to flesh that out with the council team. It's hard enough to find most of these kind of committees. And I hate to think that, because we're gonna have the same discussion maybe for the Heritage Committee, so we've got 3 awesome Stoke people in High Creek, but our bylaw's gonna say that, so. We have costs.
Council, oh, sorry, go ahead, Councillor Mitchell.
Well, first of all, I'm gonna just mention, I did not get a copy of this agenda package. It wasn't in my box. I just took it that we were talking about what you told us to bring to this meeting tonight. And I didn't hunt for an agenda, but there wasn't one there, so I'm working in the dark, so I don't even know what bylaw we're speaking of. So could I have some clarity there?
Okay, so the agenda package actually was in the box until about 5:25 this afternoon when the CAO brought it to the meeting here. And so it is the bylaw that we did at the last meeting. I'm not sure if we were here or not. So that is for the Tourism Commission bylaw. So that's to turn the Tourism Committee into a commission.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion that we table this until, I'd like to have an opportunity to have a look at it. And the answer to the agenda is I picked up everything else that was in my box yesterday, and that was not in there. Or I would have got it, because I emptied it.
Respectfully,
Oh.
Council.
We get these emailed to us.
Yeah, they were emailed to us last week.
It doesn't get emailed to me. It gets emailed to some program that I don't have any access to.
Maybe we should show you how to use it then, because it's.
No, I just need it in English. It's a public document. I shouldn't have to do triple passwords and verifications to get into it.
Right.
And I prefer paper anyway, so I went to pick that up and I picked up what was there and there was no agenda there. And so I'm managing okay, but this particular bylaw, I would like to read it. So
Well,
I'm,
fine, there's a motion on the table. Does anybody want to second that motion? The table? He wants to table it to another meeting.
What's the?
No, would like to table, motion to table. So if there's no seconder, we're going to continue.
Well, second for discussion.
Okay, go ahead.
If we get our agenda emailed to us, it should be in our box at the same time. So if it wasn't,
It was.
then
My office is right next door to it. Everybody had it in their box.
well, when
Yeah, anyway,
we got this email last week and Calvin Mitchell saying it was in there yesterday and it wasn't there. So
Phone call or request to staff this morning would have been appropriate.
anyway, okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor of tabling? Opposed? Okay, we're going to continue.
We have
Okay.
a motion on the floor currently.
No, we do not. So look for a motion for third reading. Okay. Seconder? Okay, any further discussion on that? Any other changes you would like to see in the document? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, next we're going to go to item 8B, Museum Committee to Commission Bylaw 707, 2021. Are there any changes that you would like to see? And if there are no changes, third reading would be appropriate as well.
Move for third reading.
A seconder for that motion? Seconded by Councillor Downey. Discussion? Yeah, go ahead.
So is the museum commission on our budget radar and this assign budget to both these or?
That's a very good question.
It will need to be.
So that
Both these new
commissions will have to go to our finance to assign a value to it. Yes. Well, one of them will be within the MRDT.
The museum does essentially have a budget now because there's phone access or like whatever all those things are. So it's got a baby budget. We could up it. We can into a teenager.
Have the discussions, for sure.
Okay, so call the question then. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, next we have item 10A, new business is our council calendar. There is an error on that on page 79. It should say April 12th and 26th, not April 12th and 2nd. We also have our committee of the whole meetings. I guess the question would be, I see we have leaner meetings in the summertime. Do we want to keep our committee of the whole on the beginning of the month on the fifth or the second, or leave it as is and cancel if we don't need it? What's your pleasure?
It's easier to leave it and cancel it than it is to reinstate it.
Motion to adopt, is it adopt the meeting calendar? Moved, seconder. Any other questions? Those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item 10B is mayor's report. Snapshot of some of the things that I was involved in. Stephen File. Stephen File. Okay. Seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. There are no items from in camera to be made public. But we would like a motion to go in camera under section 91J, information that is prohibited, or information that if were presented in a document could be prohibited under the Freedom of Information Act and section 91A, which I had read out at the beginning of the meeting. So moved. Seconded. Yeah. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Any questions from the media, from the public? No. Okay, motion to adjourn and go in camera. Seconded, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, public, for coming, and Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays.